Hi, I'm Anna Olsen. Here on my show tonight, Insights into Consciousness on A1R Radio. I'm here every Thursday, Pacific Standard Time at 6:30, Eastern Standard Time, 9:30. And today I just wanted to go over some questions that I know a lot of people have right now, some topics that are on a lot of people's minds. It feels like everybody that I talk to lately is concerned about the pandemic with COVID-19, or it seems like there are questions about race wars, law enforcement, riots, different parts of the country that seem like they're just going crazy right now. And there are a few things that really give us some power and some insight as to what exactly is going on and why. And I really want to look at the actual reality of what is actually going on. And that's really what I was asking Spirit to help me with today on my show, because I really think that it could give some people some insight into what it is that we really need to focus on right now and what is actually a distraction or a waste of our time. And a lot of people will go back and forth in between really feeling connected to reality. And in addition, some people go back and forth from going, okay, this is reality, this is real life, and oh, this is my fears and what seems to be going on in the world. So I wanted to cover that. I'm also going to do a card pull and some reading on what Spirit wants me to say about the timeline and what's actually happening and what's going to happen. This is all going to be from Spirit so that I can hopefully answer some people's questions. And the really great thing about Spirit is that when people watch this video or listen to this show, it's going to be the right person reached at just the right time. Whoever watches it, whoever comes across it, is going to be the person that Spirit wanted to reach. So I trust Spirit, and I trust the messages that I get from my guides. So with full protection, actually, I'm going to just go into some of the things that I have received from Spirit already, and then I will do a card pull on the topic as I go. First of all, the topic I wanted to focus on first is media and how it affects us and how we respond to media. Now, with today's fast-paced way of life and with most of our reality being based on either our cell phones or the internet or the news, our TVs, that's really the only link that we have to what's happening exterior to our own homes and our own lives. That's really the only information that we have. Now, if we follow what media is saying right now, basically most of us are aware that it's not the complete reality around us, and that it's just the media is just picking up on the bad things or the serious things, which are few and far between in reality. Now, with how much hype is going on lately, though, I think a lot of people are being caught up in it. And then when we are isolated to our homes or to one small area during a pandemic, really that's the only link we have to the outside world. A lot of our days or a lot of our times that we're spending in our daily lives. A lot of people are not even work right now. Many people are working from home, or they are utilizing unemployment. And, it's really been interesting to see how people's minds and consciousness have shifted during this time. I want to bring the awareness back to the fact that if we go out in the world, these things we're seeing in the media are happening in a very minuscule scale. So most of the time, most people are good. And most of the time, these things happening are rare. The world is not ending. The sky is not falling. And with everyone inside during this pandemic and either loss of employment or employment inside the home, people are losing out on that connection to going outside, being around other people, and they're losing touch with reality a little bit. And I have to warn that there's a delusional piece of this where we are internalizing what we are seeing in this very minuscule percentage of what is our reality on the media. And that is something to really be aware of from what I get from Spirit, to get off your phones, to get off our phones. I know I've had days where I'm on my phone way too much, where I'm looking at the media, I'm looking at the news. So the news is there, the media is there to let people know what's going on and to inform the public of things that are extreme, rare, and more or less a very small percentage of reality. In addition, media only gets a very small percentage of what actually happens in these small percentage of the time situations and circumstances or events. When we look at full videos of incidences or circumstances and we compare it to a small clip, it tells a completely different story. When we have somebody who's being attacked, let's say violently on video, and it's 30 seconds long, and all you see is somebody being horribly attacked, of course, our first inclination is to ask ourselves, well, what happened before then? You go to look at the full video, like let's say that's 5 minutes, and then you go to see that this was actually an act of self-defense. Or if you play it in slow motion, you can see that there are things that you miss when you play it full speed because there's so much that the human eye misses at any given time. And when somebody is in a situation of life or death, they can see things more clearly because of neuroepinephrine or adrenaline that is released by the adrenal glands with norepinephrine in the brain, which slows down time seemingly, and they can notice every little detail. Whereas when a person who is just watching an incident on, let's say a video, they're seeing it in real time with no adrenaline or norepinephrine to aid in slowing down detailed, basically clips of that time frame. Now, when we are judging other people from a distance, that's only hurting ourselves because it's bringing in a very negative vibe into our electromagnetic field. We are much better off looking at our own immediate reality and seeing how we can improve that and improve the realities of other people, especially the people who we hold close to us and who we love, and to really work on our relationships. Even with our pets. Our pets are going to be really scared with this 4th of July stuff going on and fireworks. And do you have, Benadryl or whatever else the veterinarian would suggest that you give your dog? Always ask your veterinarian first, because Benadryl can interact with other medications. And I don't ever diagnose or suggest any sort of drugs for animals or humans. But if that's what your vet says, are we doing that? Are we basically really taking care of us, ourselves, and our own? And I feel like that's what we need to come back to, that's really get out of other people's business or vibe and get back into ourselves. So the media is a very hyped up, big scale, widely spread rendition of probably a fake reality, most of the time a fake reality. And they're blowing it up as it's actual reality when it is in fact not the case. The fact is that usually is a very small percentage of the time that is the case, and then we have to open it up to, how do you interpret it? Were you there? Did you see every detail? What was left out? Was there a story before that? Was this person, there's just all of these things that we cannot possibly understand or judge, and that's why it's not our job to judge these things. And that's why we have investigators, we have people whose job it actually is, who are trained in these matters. So really, this is where I'm coming back to worrying about how we're treating our fellow human being, and we can try to act like the judge or the judger on 40,000 other people at a time. And what good would it do? Well, it brings down our electromagnetic field. It is a waste of our consciousness. It is a waste of our time. Now, I could even go as far as to say, in addition, it is a negative vacuum effect to our time, our electromagnetic field, and what we could really be bringing ourselves forward and doing. If we spent all the time that we have spent stressing out about things that we weren't even there for, that don't involve us, that don't have anything to do with our lives personally, let's say, okay, that we really can't do anything about. That is an energy suck that is going to reduce the level and the frequency of our vibration, which is actually going to put us in a depressed state, a lower frequency state, bringing things to us and becoming a magnetic field to attracting the things that don't serve us and put us in that same vibe. Our aura, our electromagnetic field, our nervous system is actually an antenna. It brings things and attracts things to us according to the frequency that we are on. It is physics, it's science. You cannot surpass this in any way, we as human beings have to adjust our thoughts to attract good things to us, or the things that we want in our lives. If we are on a good vibe of love and above, love, joy, happiness, we will emanate that vibe and we will attract that to us. Now, this is science. This is not some idea somebody came up with that isn't proven. Many people through experience and experiential means have proven this time and time again, and they have taught it. And I myself also have practiced this, and I know that it is something that works. That said, I wanted to really look at what is going on in the world and what it's really about, so that we have real answers based on reality. So what I do is I ask Spirit, what Spirit is ready or feels it is appropriate to reveal at this time. The first thing that I go into is, why are we having the pandemic? Okay, I can give you my own experience first and foremost, and that is that what I've noticed with all of the people I've been working with, I work with a lot of people pretty regularly. And what I've noticed is an increase in their higher consciousness during this time, during the pandemic. Many people who study enlightenment, the power of consciousness, the law of attraction, we all have a very clear understanding that this pandemic and everything that's going on right now is really increasing our consciousness, helping us to realize what's important, how to focus on the current moment, the present moment, how to focus on the now, and really look at what is it that's important for now, what is it that we can actually do something about. Family, friends, less materialism, shallow things, focusing more on increasing our emotional intelligence, even our intellectual intelligence. What are we believing that people are telling us? Are we so right-winged or left-winged that we can't see any sort of balance in between? Are we actually considering somebody else's life or their perspective or their life experience? These are all good questions to ask ourselves. And I really feel that the more we get away from anything digital, it's not only good for our physical body, but it's also good for our minds, our spirits, our electromagnetic field. And we'll start getting back to reality and really figuring out how to problem solve and how to make our situation better. A lot of people are coming down with depression right now because of the lack of sunshine, the lack of moving, getting out, socializing. There are ways that we can surpass this. And then I think most of our digital time should just be spent FaceTiming or calling people on video, phone, interacting with people who we haven't been able to see for a while, extending love and care for those that we care about, and really just job searches, things like that. Media is not our friend right now. Social media can be our friend if it helps with our income. But I really do feel that the more that we are focusing on the negative, the more it will bring down the universal consciousness to a lower frequency of fear or anger or hate or wanting to fight. So Mother Teresa is one of my main people that I have looked up to for a long time. And I always remember her talking about she would definitely love to be part of a movement to protest or to go and, well, I don't even know if she'd be part of a protest, because her idea of really doing good in the world and really making things press forward is to go and advocate for something positive, for what you do want, what she does want in the world, something good, not to fight or go against something that she doesn't like, because Mother Teresa got to where she was because she understood the law of attraction in a way of spirituality and through Christianity, that when we focus on what we do want and we focus on what is positive and what cause we want to have more of, pro-peace would be her event, not anti-war. She would never be part of anti-anything. She would only be pro insert your positive subject or topic. So I think when we are approaching it in this way, there's more room for love and connection to others and really making a movement go forward in our lives. That said, I'm going to pull a card, and I'm just going to start with a reading from Spirit about the current situation. And I've had all my own conversations about it. So what I do is I put that into the back of my head. I clear it out of my consciousness. And what I do is I just listen to Spirit to see what Spirit has to say to everyone, because oftentimes, if not all the time, it's extremely different from what I would have said or from what I would have gotten on my own. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pull a card with the question, where did this pandemic come from? Why is it in the world right now? The first question that I'm asking, I'm processing and I'm meditating on the answer. So I actually got the Eight of Wands. What I see is it's a power struggle. So this is what I suspected, warfare. It's a type of warfare where there's a play of power at hand, and it doesn't have to make sense in the media, because again, the media doesn't even know half of what's going on with the higher ups in politics or in the world. We have secret agencies for a reason, because they're secret. They don't tell the media anything, and they don't tell anybody anything. So we do have top secret lots of things, guys. There's a lot of higher ups. The only thing that I'm really allowed to know safely and with best interests at heart and highest and greater good is that it is a power play, and that we are entering into a battle between countries. So we're looking at something that's happening in a sense of the beginning of a power play. Now we're going to have to really figure out who's going to come out on top of the economy, and who in the world is going to be ahead in general. Now, if a country, I'm feeling like if a country doesn't have enough weapons, one thing they can do is attack an economy of another country, okay? I'm also getting that, certain groups have had to use things like suicide soldiers and things like that, because they don't have funding. They don't have other means of going to war in a more ethical way. So we're looking at ways that poorer countries or individuals would create wars or power plays because they don't have other means to do so. So they take the only route that they can mastermind with. They're geniuses. They're smarter people. They're scientists. And, I really feel like the U.S. is really going to be in limbo with the money, and that is going to be an issue. Now, instead of panicking, I say, let's look at history. What did our elders do during the Great Depression? What did our elders do during World War II? What did great grandparents do when they were having a rough time financially, or when they really needed to check their resources and retain them or use them wisely? That's what's coming up from Spirit. Now, if anybody has any other questions about this topic or any other topic, you can always message me. You can get to me, you can contact me by emailing me on my website. You can go through my website, AnnaOlsenIntuitive.com. That's at the bottom of the screen, but it's also Anna, ANNA, Olsen, OLSEN, Intuitive, INTUITIVE.com. That's ANNAOLSENINTUITIVE.com. And you can contact me there. Do not use the chat, because I don't check it. You can definitely email me from the contact page there. You can also contact me on Facebook, Anna Olsen Intuitive. And you can ask me any question that you want for me to cover next week on my show. And I will do another reading, and I will ask Spirit the questions that you want to ask. So the next question that I have is, what is it that we need to do as a worldwide universal consciousness of people, human beings, what is it that we all need to do right now and focus on to really be the most successful? I want to give my listeners the best tools in their bag to be the most happy, the most successful, and to give you guys insight so that you'll have what you need. And really, I feel like what I got was the High Priestess, and she was inverted. And I will just show you this card. So the High Priestess is inverted, meaning she was upside down. Now, when a card is inverted, that can either mean the opposite of the meaning of the card, or it can mean that the meaning is magnified and pronounced. I'm getting that the meaning of this card is pronounced here, and that we need our balance of logic and emotional to come into play here. Now, that said, I'm going to go into feminine and masculine energy, that men tend to forego the emotional more for many reasons. I'm not going to go into that. And women tend to go into the emotional more and forego the logical. And there are many reasons for that, which I'm not going to go into right now. I'm seeing that if men are thinking more emotional right now, and women are thinking in a more logical sense right now, this will balance things out significantly, and that we'll be able to work together better. I also feel like if you're either gender and you tend to have either masculine or feminine energy that is more pronounced, that you can still follow this model despite what gender you actually are. I'm seeing that even in our without feminine masculine energy, that we also need to balance out our minds. Whereas when you're usually thinking very emotionally, usually feminine energy or women, forego that emotionality and go into logical thinking. Go into the logic. Logically look at it as if you're looking down at the topic from an aerial view, or as if you're directing a movie and you can see it from far away as if it's going on in front of you. Try your best to take the emotion out of it and become analytical and very logical, because oftentimes with us women, we're wonderful, I know, but we tend to look at things so emotionally that we're very sporadic. We can be a little impulsive about our decision making in our words. Now's the time to take a few steps back and just be very logical and analytical. Men do the opposite of what I just said. Instead of being so analytical and logical, and perhaps stop and think about things in a more emotional way. How can you get to what your heart chakra is saying? How can you get to what your emotions are telling you? How can you get in touch with that emotional part of you? And men tend to have, or the masculine energy tends to have, a beautiful way of really evening out emotion in a very actually logical way. So this can serve us significantly right now. And I just want to point out the next card that I got is Ace of Cups. I'm going to show that very quickly. That's a beautiful cup with this overflowing amount of beautiful iridescent liquid, which to me represents finances. The cup is full, and not just full, but overflowing. And I see lotus flowers in a pond around this cup. And with the lotus flowers, we do know that that represents beauty and something, gorgeous coming out of the mud and the muck. So something beautiful and useful, because we know that they're also therapeutic, not just to look at, but to have in your space. That something beautiful and useful and amazing and gorgeous came out of the mud and the suffering. And we compare that to our lives. Something good always comes out of suffering. And something beautiful always comes out of what's bad. So when we're talking about our finances, I see that there is still a very large capability for immense financial income right now for people. And to just look at those resources and to let this be a time for us to become very resourceful and to really look at our options financially. What is it that we can do? Where is it that we can gain income, money? There are these resources. Just look for them, and don't think of anything as, oh, that's not for me. Look into it, see if you can get it. Do not forego anything as if, oh, I can't do that. Now's not the time. I think that our consciousness and the way we do things is going to change significantly, even financially. I think we're going to get out of the rat race a little bit more, or even a lot more in our households. And this is going to be good for us. I think that we're long overdue for it. And I'd love to look at the positive parts of this, which is what I'm doing now. And this is what Spirit is telling me as well. So the next card that I pulled is the 10 of Wands. This is the 10 of Wands opposed to the 8 of Wands, which I first pulled. And excuse me, the 10 of Wands, let me show this one. This is a guy holding 10 wands kind of over his shoulder, and he is on his way to a castle up on a hill. He's out in this beautiful area with the sunset, and these wands have beautiful flowers on them. He's wearing kind of a neat cape. He's on his way with his power, kind of like he's taking his wands, which represent his own personal power, and he's like hiking up to the top of this castle. So this is really where it's just saying, retain your power, contain it, do not spend it all in one place. Save your stores for the long haul. Save your stores for the long journey to the castle on the hill. We're talking about finances here. We're talking about resources, and we're talking about your emotional energy. Okay, so this is basically what Spirit has said today. I'm running out of time now. I have about a minute left. But again, give me some of your questions. Let me know on Facebook. Write me, leave a comment. Give me any question you want me to answer through Spirit and through a card pull next week, and I'll do this again. I want to know exactly what you guys are thinking. If you want me to elaborate on today's show, let me know. Until next week, 6:30 Thursdays, Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I will see you next week. And give me your questions. I want to know, what do you want to know? And I will answer your questions. I want everybody to feel better right now. I want to alleviate your stress. I want you to know exactly what's in store for the universal consciousness, not just for yourself, but for everyone. I'd love universal questions that apply to everybody in the world right now. So all the goings on of the world. Have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm Anna Olsen, AnnaOlsenIntuitive.com. You can reach me there, and on Anna Olsen Intuitive on Facebook. Thanks so much and have a wonderful night. I will see you next week.